Welcome to General Structures 2 and Lateral Forces, Lesson 2 quiz, question number 2. It says that the exposed structural steel is often used for long span roofs used to enclose arenas and stadiums. That is possible because, and I have the typical A, B, C, and D, and let's hope I can get this right and try to explain why they are wrong. Alright, and just off the top of my head, I remember that those, let me think, it says long spans, it's a truss. Usually what will happen is those will be steel trusses systems, and those steel trusses are very good at resisting bending, number one, for long spans, and they're also pretty decent at resisting deflection because they have a lot of which, if you think about the same thing of a truss is true for a beam. So if you have your typical beam like this, there we go, is you'll have a beam, and remember, the most area you can get away from that neutral axis, the better. And a truss, you can look at exactly the same thing. For instance, let's say you have this type of truss where you have, let's say it's a double, I've seen these type of trusses before. You have a double angle truss, and then you'll have these laterals in between them like that, connect, and they'll be diagonals, let's call them. So if you look at it, you'll have your top chord, in which I would call both of those angles, that double angle, you could call it the top chord, and then they'll have this angles, like the diagonals as such, and those would be plates, or they could be another angle. Kind of depends how you want to do it. I'm not going to get into that right now. The fact is, the same way, this is going to be compression if you're talking about positive moment, and this will be tension. Same way down here. These two will be in tension, and these two will be in compression. And it says exposed structural. Maybe exposed structural steel is what they're saying, and that maybe they're getting at the fact that exposed structural steel is all right because of the fire resistance, because that exposed structural steel is so high. I think it's above 15 foot. Don't quote me on it, but we can go back and look, and then I'll do that just to make sure if that's one of our possible answers. Since it's higher than 15 foot, I think it's 15 foot, and it can be exposed because it's not a fire hazard, and therefore it's not against the fire code. So let's take a look at the answers and go on from there. It says steel is incombustible, and I'm going to say negative on that. That is not the reason. Steel does have issues with fire. I think that's what they were trying to get at with incombustible. When I think combust, I think combustion engine. I guess it's more of explosion, which, yeah, sure, it's incombustible, but that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to cross that out. I don't think that's the right answer. B, sprinkler systems are generally used in such structures, and I don't believe that they have sprinkler systems in large arenas and stadiums. I may be wrong, but I also don't think that's the right answer. Okay, let's go down to C. Building codes permit unprotected steel construction when the roof is high above the floor. That's pretty much what I was getting at. And then D, such buildings are only used intermittently. That doesn't make any sense to me. So because they're used intermittently, you can make it non-fire resistant, and you can have exposed structural steel. That doesn't make any sense. You could have exposed structural steel if you painted it, I guess. Anyways, let's go back and see what they got for the answer, and hopefully it's the right thing. They give us a little bit of a look into what they did and why they did it. Alright. I should really tab this. Okay, quiz answers. Lesson 2, number 2. Okay, it says C, and that's what we said. And it says that we should see page 27. So let's go way back to 27. Sorry this is taking so long, but I just want to double check. If you're sure about it, go on to the next question. But I would like to double check. Alright, there it is. At the first column, the last paragraph says, although the building codes in different parts of the country vary, they generally permit the fire protection for roof structures to be omitted if the roof is high enough above the floor. In particular, the UBC, which is obviously a little bit older than what we want to be looking at now. Take a look at the IBC, and I'm not sure exactly what that says, but I'm sure I'll do some videos on it later. It says it states that in section 602.5, when every part of the structural framework of a roof of a group A or group E occupancy, says assembly, building, or school, is not less than 25 feet, I was saying 15, 25 feet above any floor, fire protection of all members of roof construction may be omitted. So as you can see, thus many long-span roofs over arenas and stadiums are built of exposed structural steel. Alright, and there you go. Of course, you could have, literally, you could have exposed structural steel, and you could put sort of fire protective coating on it, and it would be fine. But you can, I think that's what they were getting at, and obviously that was the correct answer. Alright, I will see you on question number 3.